Good afternoon. We're going to be starting today with the Appraiser's Office on page 78 of your binders. And I'll hand it over to Mark Clark.
Good afternoon, Mr. Clark. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
What page is this in the book? 78.
Mark Clark, County Appraiser. I want to talk to you for a few minutes about the 2021 budget and the Appraiser's Office mission is to annually produce a fair and equitable appraisal role used in formulating the funding and quality public services in our community. In carrying out the Appraiser's Office mission and services, there is a client and intended users of the mass appraisal. The mass appraisal assignments in Kansas for ad valorem taxation fall under the responsibility of the county commission of county government, and county commissions are identified as clients when they appoint the county appraiser. The intended users of the mass appraisal will include the state of Kansas and all the property taxing jurisdictions such as your school districts, townships, the county fire district, etc., when they appoint located within the Sedgwick County jurisdiction. The intended use is will be used for the ad valorem property tax purposes. Tax revenues will be distributed to jurisdictions to provide the funding for quality public services. The Appraiser's Office does take care of valuing, discover, list, and value real estate and personal property. So we will annually provide accurate real estate appraisals for all Sedgwick County real property, annually provide accurate personal property appraisals for all Sedgwick County personal property, and 3 expedite services to provide current information on assessment procedures. As you can see, the Appraiser's Office budget request for 2021 is relatively flat. Looks like there's a slight decrease on the total budget of 0.73%. Now, when we talk about the 3%, what that looks like if we were to make a 3% reduction. Basically, the Appraiser's Office is 94% personnel. So we would lose approximately 3 positions. The office is already understaffed, and that would be a substantial increase in overtime. Property valuation has control over the appraisal process, and they have maintenance specifications that we need to adhere to. And that is how we are judged by compliance, by complying with those maintenance specifications each year. We get a grade. We are the only office in the tax system that gets a grade. If we lost those 3 positions, we would definitely lose compliance points, and once an appraiser reaches 72 points, you can be dismissed immediately. By losing 3 positions, that would impact reinspection of existing properties, whereby approximately 17% of the properties are reinspected each year. The law requires the county appraisers visit each property at least once every 6 years. New construction, listing, and valuing would be impacted. Sales inspection, as mandated by PUD's maintenance specifications, would not get completed as needed, and personal property items that would need to be added to or deleted from the roll would not be done so in a timely manner. Also, it would lessen the amount of staff that we have to conduct appeals.
Mark, we have a question from Commissioner Cruz.
Thank you. You talked about grades. What's your grade now?
It is right at 90.
Okay, so 72 is the lowest.
Yes.
Okay. And then you talked about caseload and overtime. Can you handle things
now? Because I'm hearing some things from your office that, people you have a lot of stuff to do.
We do. It is highly stressed. It's basically ran on, and I don't mean to be melodramatic, but it's ran on Band-Aids. And they have stretched to the point where if we keep losing people, it's going to break and the state's going to come down and say, what's going on? And I really don't want that to happen, but it is a situation now where it's critical.
So say that we get past, because some of these issues that I'm hearing, I actually heard before COVID started. So
Right.
I'm not placing any blame. I'm just
No.
saying, what could we do to boost morale?
Well, that is very interesting.
I mean, we all want to be boosted, right? I get it. This is a really hard time. But I just wonder.
By boosting morale, we need more positions, but also in studies that have happened in prior years, we know that the appraiser's office staff is greatly underpaid. And that needs to be corrected in some fashion. I do realize that we are having some fiscal distress here this year, but that is something that definitely needs to be looked at and needs to be corrected.
Quite frankly, given the circumstances, maybe we shouldn't even be touching on this. So I realize the sensitivity of the situation we're in, but you're standing in front of me and I haven't had a chance to ask that question to you.
That's fine.
So the other thing is, did you get through all of the appeals?
We are finishing up, we will be finished basically today, but there are some things, stragglers, where we will have to get them done next week, where they will be providing additional information, and then we can get those finished.
Okay,
But we will finish timely.
Okay. Thank you, Mark.
Commissioner O'Donnell?
Thank you. Mark, would you say some of the problems that your office had was that there wasn't a clear leader for over a year, that you were in an interim position? Did that restrict you from doing some things to have morale be higher, like having stability? Because you've only been in this role, what, 90 days?
Yes, that is correct. I would say that is probably true, Commissioner. The state, you had Ray Schnacker in there. Her job was basically to hold the status quo.
Right.
And yes, I have not had an opportunity to really make any inroads as far as hiring and so forth. Of course, we got one position given to us on the commercial side in the last budget. And right when we were getting ready to do interviews, COVID decided to raise its ugly head, and
Right.
we didn't get to do that.
Right, yeah. Well, that would just be from my vantage point, probably an issue that you couldn't even implement anything permanent anyway, because you weren't in a permanent position to do that.
That is correct.
And I do appreciate everything you and your staff do. I understood the compliance problems that we'd had before, but, the first line of communication is generally with the commissioner when somebody's appraisal goes up quite a bit. And so this year was obviously, for those of us that have been here a number of years, probably the worst when it comes to the amount of emails we got, because I think more people's property value went up than in
Understand.
previous years. So anyway, we understand what you do and how important that is. And thank you, because most of the time when I have an issue, we send it to you and you get it addressed in an extremely timely manner.
And please continue to do that.
Thank you.
Mark, I have a real quick question. Maybe it's in the capital conversation, but how was your IT world?
IT world is, we need goodies. And we have put stuff in TRB that we definitely need. Some of that, or just about all of it, got pushed off to next year. And so I would say that it's important that we start looking at that. And I have told staff, let's start grouping together and planning and talking to Wes, whoever we have to talk to make sure that we get the software that we need and the flight or oblique flight is very important. That helps us with reinspection as well. And I do know that we have worked with GIS, and GIS has also been working with the city of Wichita to see if we can't combine their flight with our flight and make this more cost effective.
Okay. Yeah, my guess is in your line of work, the better IT world you could have, the more consistent, smooth, taking the human opinion
That is true.
to more of a formula.
Yes.
So, anyway, okay.
You're
Well,
correct.
Thanks for updating.
There is one other thing I'd like to go over.
Okay.
And that is accounts per employee. Now, we contacted, we know what ours is, so we contacted Johnson, Wyandotte, and Douglas. And for Sedgwick, at the present time, our total accounts, real and personal, is 258,761. We have 66 positions. That would be 3,921 accounts per employee. At Johnson, they have 244,610 accounts, and they have 84.5 employees, and that is 2,895 accounts per employee. Wyandotte has 75,361 accounts, 32.5 employees, and 2,319 accounts per employee. Douglas County has a total of 48,460 accounts. They have 18 employees, and that's 2,692 accounts per employee. I believe that you can tell by those numbers that we do a lot with what we've got, but it's right at the breaking point, and any consideration that you can give, I greatly appreciate. Like I said, I do know that we were asked to provide what a 3% reduction would look like, and we've complied, but I will leave it in your hands. Are there any other?
As it said, thank you. May I
So-
have another?
Chairman, real quickly, there were two areas that we knew going into 2021, two areas specifically, and Commissioner Dennis brought one up yesterday, that was EMS. And we knew that the appraiser's office, because of just the environment there and the fact that they were interim for so long, as Commissioner O'Donnell brought up, and Mark was new, that clearly was on the chalkboard this year, those two entities to do revamp and bolster them. But you know, with what's happened with COVID, everything now this seems to be in a stasis for a year or until this passes. But clearly, those two, if I don't know how budget's going to proceed this year, but if we stay status quo this year, clearly next year we have to address the appraiser's office. We have to, and we have to address EMS. So.
Okay.
I hear what Mark's saying. His data's good. He's patiently waited last year, and I think we were poised to help him this year, and we have a virus, so.
Okay. That's good information. Any other questions? Thanks, Mark.
Thank you,
or
Commissioner.
David, do you have one?
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Thank you for what you do. Okay.
Next, we'll have the county treasurer's office. Will be on page 84 of your binders. I believe Randy Bargdill will be here to present.
Hello, Mr. Bargdale. Welcome to the meeting.
You know, Randy offered to be our interim chaplain if we need somebody to pray before meetings.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That's all?
Must be Catholic.
You better open up. Linda told me you'd open up with prayer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ben, are you a straight man in this group?
Yes.
Thank you.
So be prepared.
I was just talking to Randy about the hotline. We've had a lot of questions about the automated line.
You're talking about the,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
QLIS?
Just so, if you could talk about that sometime in your presentation, that was kind of what I was sidebarring about over here.
Okay,
Thanks for letting me spring that on you.
appreciate it. I didn't make a slide for it or anything.
That's
but
okay.
Is that all right? Okay. Good afternoon, Chairman and Commissioners. Randy Bargdale with the Treasurer's Office. I'm going to be presenting today because our Treasurer, Linda Kizzire, is enjoying a much-deserved vacation, ready for it, in her sweet home in Alabama. So, she's down south. And before I get started, I do want to give a shout-out to our budget analyst, Beth, wherever she is. I don't know who she made mad. She had to work with the treasurer's office, but she did an outstanding job in helping us out, and she clearly feels sorry for poor dumb animals because she did a good job helping me out. So our mission is to provide honest, friendly service while being accountable to the citizens of Sedgwick County through the timely collection and distribution of public funds in accordance with legislative mandates. And we'll be talking today about our Treasurer's Tax Department budget. So all of the tasks that we do basically boil down to 3 statutory mandates. We bill, we collect, and we distribute tax money. Internally, through our billing process, we rely on our experts over at the print shop who produce approximately 23,500 bills per year. And that includes our prepay, personal property, watercraft, heavy trucks, and state assessed. Externally, we have a mail vendor who we upload bills to, and they do approximately 316,000 tax bills per year. This includes our non-escrow personal property, real property, advisory notice, and state assessed bills. We collect both internally and externally. We have our clerks down at the front, our tax clerks that take care of our walk-in traffic, as well as quite a bit of mailed-in tax bills or payments. And also we utilize a lockbox system through Intrust Bank, who opens our mail and posts our checks first thing for us every morning. We distribute to 107 taxing authorities, and this is all done internally with our treasurer's accountants, and they work along with ITS, Kelly Looney and Brianna Dull. So getting to the budget, Treasurer's Tax Office, we were presented a recommended budget of $1,381,217. Of that, $1,225,839 includes a 2.29% increase from last year. That's for our personnel. $155,376 for contractuals and commodities. And all in all, after reviewing this and looking at our actual expenditures from last year, as well as projecting what our costs are going to be next year, we believe that this recommended budget is certainly meet the operational needs of our department. We were asked to discuss our solution to a 3% budget reduction exercise, and this comes to about $41,436. So the short answer to our solution is we would prefer to cut our contractual and commodities by the 3%. Each year we select some members of our staff to go to state and national treasurers conferences. And we also send some of our staff to the tax system user groups. And I think that a lot of these meetings are now going to be webinars and anyway, so looking at that. And we also, every year, we turn back some unspent money that we don't use. So that's where we would recommend or request that the cut would be made if there's going to be one. Also, as you're all aware, we're under statutory mandates to send out our first half, second half tax bills, delinquent personal property and real estate bills, delinquent personal property as sheriff warrants. Additionally, we have to publish in the newspaper the mill levy, delinquent real and personal property tax list, and each quarter we also have to publish the treasurer's quarterly report. And then I've been asked to talk about QList. So our virtual waiting line, we've currently turned that off. And the main reason on that is that, first of all, we had, encouraged people to do all of their renewal business online, by mail, using the ICANN app. And the only reason that we're actually open is to conduct title work. And we're not going to turn anybody away, but in the governor's executive order, it didn't include extending title work. So we're really there for the people to do their title work. We're taking call-ahead appointments for title work and encouraging people to use a different avenue. The QList system is great under normal circumstances, but what we found out was we still have plenty of people out there that don't have PCs, personal computers, or smart devices to hook up to that system. So if we do have that on, then those people who don't have that aren't able to get in line. So they would have to go inside. Typically what will happen is someone will go inside and they'll go up to the kiosk and they'll sign in and they'll get a little, printed number. These people won't be able to get in line. Now, we are looking at right now on what we're gonna need to do to open that back up. Johnson County, we've been kind of following them a little bit on what they're doing. They also shut theirs off, but they're going to be turning theirs back on shortly. We're kind of following them, seeing how that's gonna work, and hopefully we'll have it all back on before opening.
So right now, you're just trying to make it fair and equitable for everybody to be able to
Correct.
do business?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we have, close to half of our staff on furlough right now. It would just be a madhouse if we, tried to do that. But yeah, those people that don't have smart devices wouldn't be able to get in line.
I appreciate you taking that hot seat question for me. I think we've all probably had some of those questions, so. One other question, if you don't mind. Can somebody just send me the 107 taxing entities broken down by
Yes.
like all the different types?
Yes.
Okay, that'd be great, thanks.
Yeah, good question, because I was under the impression there was only 90, but 107?
There are 107, and some of that is, we call them 107 taxing authorities. For instance, USD 259, they have, it's USD 259, but they also have some splinters off of that get paid out. So including everybody that we actually send out to, it's 107.
Okay. Would that be actually, like USD 259, would that be various bond payments? Various bonds?
It could be, yes.
Okay, all right.
But I'll send
Thanks,
that to
Al.
everybody
Yeah,
then,
if you
want
would.
the broken out version of who we actually.
Right. Okay. I think we're good. Thank
Okay.
you, Randy. Tell your boss we said hi. Is she still the boss? Acting boss?
Next, we'll hear from the
Sounds
Register of Deeds, Tanya Buckingham. We'll be on page 32 of your binders.
Miss Buckingham, how are you?
I'm great. How are you guys?
Welcome to the commission.
Now that you're here. Good to see everybody in person. Yes.
Normally, I only see you in a face mask, Tanya.
I know, this is unusual to be without one.
Tanya, your shirt is fantastic.
You
I
like
think
my
you
shirt?
should show it off.
Okay. You want to see my shirt?
Yes.
Keep calm and
Keep
record
calm
on
and
and record.
He said all 105 registers
All
of
the
deeds have that, right?
registers of state,
Thanks, Kim.
We got these to wear it on annual seminar. Oh, yeah. Since we're not gonna have it, I thought. Thank you. Why not wear it to the budget presentation? All right. Again, I'm Tanya Buckingham. I'm the Register of Deeds for Sedgwick County. The first couple of slides here is showing our mission, vision, values, and goals. So the Register of Deeds mission is to record, index, maintain, and provide access to all real estate documents. Figure out how to do this. So there are 3 ways that documents come into our office, just as a reminder. We have electronic filing, and so 85% of our recordings are here. This process is currently being done remotely, 100%. We've been in constant contact daily with title companies, and they are the bulk of the e-recording business. We started contacting local businesses, attorneys, banks, and reminded them that we actually have this e-recording process, so they could do that and not have to actually, have to walk in. And so we started contacting them. The other way is walk-ins. So we have an average of only maybe 15 to 20 people that actually walk into our office. All other documents come through the mail, and mail we discovered, is best processed within our office and not done remotely. So we're doing all our mail, and we have one person coming in each day that actually is processing our mail. One thing that we noticed as soon as this all started is that we were seeing an influx of transfer on death deeds. A lot of people were wanting to get those filed. So we purposely made sure that we opened up all the mail and looked for those and got those recorded first before anything else. As Lindsay had mentioned on Wednesday, our numbers are up. I've provided a handout that compares 2019 to this year. It shows total documents, total mortgages filed, and officers' fees collected. And also, if you notice on this handout, there's actually a column that shows mortgage indebtedness. And I find this to be pretty interesting because 2019, there was $926 million in indebtedness, but now this year, from January to current, we're looking at $4.2 billion in mortgage indebtedness. So real estate market is still booming, and so we are as busy as ever still. We're just doing work differently. So currently we have all of our staff working from home, except for maybe about 5 people that are coming in and working, that we're working mail and stuff. So if you don't have any questions on that spreadsheet at all, or numbers?
Mr. Chairman,
David, sorry about that.
is this mortgage indebtedness, is this new mortgages, or is this a lot of refinancing because the mortgage rates are so low?
Well, I'm going to assume it's refinancing, but we wouldn't know. It would just be that they would be filing a mortgage, and whether or not it's refinance or not. I'm going to assume it is, just because the interest rate's going down, but I don't know, because it comes in as a mortgage.
Right.
So, does that make sense? Okay.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions on any of those numbers?
Do you see, when do you see something would turn? Like, how far out do you see this, the real estate market would turn, that you would see this?
I don't know. Lindsay, would you know the answer to that?
So what we have heard loosely through Standard & Poor's and Fitch Ratings, so those are the credit rating agencies that are kind of doing the outlooks for local government, the public sector, and they're saying probably on the residential side, and that's not necessarily, Wichita could be very different because of the Spirit impact, but they're saying the residential impact probably it will change it from being the type of market it has been, where it's very much the seller's market, as opposed to maybe converting that more to slightly of a buyer's market. Commercial could actually do really well with the refinancing, and so to the point of what Tanya's showing, I mean, those are huge numbers. Those are most likely some commercial mortgages that are being filed. So they're expecting that to have an impact, though, on values overall, because they don't expect the same level of activity. And so they're telling us to look for that in our 2022 valuation cycle, which we would see show up in our 2023 budget. And so we took some of that information and tried to use that in the assessed value estimate. But they're not projecting a lot for new construction necessarily. So that would be the one area that we also need to look at, because so much they anticipate a lot of retail, maybe brick and mortar, not making it through this downturn, and maybe having to shift more online. And so that might create kind of a glut of space. So that's what we've heard so far, and there was just a call this morning that kind of talked through some of that.
Thanks for the good news, Lindsay.
Lots of it to spread around right now, huh?
Okay, and moving along to the 2021 budget request, our department has a $1,164,925. And so we were asked, just like all other departments, about our 3% reduction. And we did go through all our contractuals and commodities and tried to find all ways that we could actually reduce our cost. And where we came up with the 13,000 was just different things that we decided we could not do this, do that, don't travel, no memberships, just all different types of things. Even with that amount of money, it's not enough to cover our 3%, so we more than likely will have to reduce a full-time position, sadly, so, if it's asked. And that is the end of my PowerPoint. If you guys have any questions on anything, or.
Go ahead. Yeah,
I
Ms.
don't really
Cruz.
have a question, but I just really enjoy all of the engagement in your office, the mask that you posted the other day. You just
Yeah.
have a really good vibe, and
Yeah.
I like what you're doing down there, so thanks
Okay.
for inspiring others,
Well,
really.
thank
You've
you.
inspired me.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
All right,
Thank you, Tonya.
you're welcome.
Next, we have Wes Ellington from the Division of Information and Technology, and we're starting on page 104 of your binders.
Hello, Wes. Fine, thank you.
Hey, there's Tania in there.
These
I
are
think he's got another stack over there.
just 2021 decision packages, you guys.
Yeah, that one goes that way and this one goes that way.
Oh.
Extras go to the bench.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We would love them.
Here you go, Pete.
Thank you.
I don't love your screen.
Back to the bench, there you go.
Thank you.
Wait, I got the same thing.
Should have one that looks like this.
So weird.
Then the next one might go, okay.
Get that up there. Okay.
We're getting this worked out. Did you guys get one of these?
Wes, you need to work on your distribution.
I know.
I was like, this is a lot of paper.
Everybody else brought somebody to help him. Wes comes in by himself.
I know. All right,
Brought in
Wes.
some support.
Reinforcements, all right?
That's okay.
Are we ready?
Yes, sir.
We're ready, queued or good? Well, thank you, Commissioners. I'm Wes Ellington, Chief Information Officer for Sedgwick County. This morning, I have two program areas to go over. The first one is Information and Technology, and the second one is the Technology Review Board, of which there's one item, which is a continuation of last year's approval for CDDO. And then I'll talk about the 3 to 5% at a very high level, so you have a better understanding of what that might look like for IT. Of course, our mission statement is on this slide. This department, basically, it manages 4 program areas, the Director's Office, Business Solutions Group, Enterprise Resource Planning, or ERP, and the IT infrastructure area. The Director's Office program is involved with supporting the 73.5 FTEs that IT currently has. The program manages 13 fund centers, advises and reviews contracts for IT, as well as manages the processing of all orders for IT. This program currently has 3 FTEs, all of which are internal staff. Requested budget for this program area for 2021 is $308,849. That's down 9.7% for that program area.
The next area is the Business Solutions Group. This group supports the technical business needs for county departments and is responsible for implementing and maintaining all aspects of county-owned applications, as well as the development of custom applications when applicable. The department is made up of the following service areas: Business Solutions Service, Database Administration, Internet Services, GIS, and Document Management. And this area has 32 FTEs currently. This area for 2021 is requesting budget authority for just over $4 million, and that's down 3.2% from the previous year. ERP, or Enterprise Resource Planning. This is the area that manages success factors, heavily involved with HR and the upgrade that we've been working on for the last 3 years for finance. It's responsible for maintaining the large ERP landscape for finance and human resources. Their main goal is to improve governmental transaction and decision-making through business process engineering, business analytics, and innovative application of ERP technology. This area currently has 12 FTEs. This area is requesting for 2021 $2.7 million roughly, and that's down 2.7% over last year. Last program area is IT infrastructure. This area is responsible for installing and maintaining the core IT landscape for Sedgwick County. Service areas within this program are system administration and telecommunications, that's telephones, servers, that sort of infrastructure, or virtual infrastructure. Security and networking, which is obvious what that is. That's the routers, switches, firewalls that are in the core network. And our help desk, which is our main nerve center for all trouble tickets to be called into and then dispatched from there. These service areas install and maintain systems like storage array units, or SANs, switches, routers, telephone systems, servers, as well as maintain the county's desktops. This program also contains the county's help desk, which is a centralized call center for receiving issues from Sedgwick County users. All services in this program are heavily involved with ITSS's security patching initiative to ensure hardware, software, and endpoints are patched to the latest versions. This is a key component of our defense in depth strategy for Sedgwick County. This program area contains 28.5 FTEs currently. 2021 request is $3.7 million, just over, which is down 4.6%. So we get to the summary. 2021 request is $10,827,247, which is down about 15.01% overall from the previous year. So real quick, let's jump over to
Wes, while you're jumping over to the next one,
yeah.
financially, this is obviously, I know you probably have worked through this. It's a pretty sizable percentage decrease. And from my perspective, your area is pretty important, especially with all the stuff going on and all the invasive foreign countries and all that stuff. So
Right.
I assume if you're comfortable with these kind of numbers, or are you saying?
Some of it, yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, go ahead. Some of it is due to the TRV funding that we got the previous year, when you lump in that 1.2 million for all the
Okay.
system upgrades that we did, and the 200,000 for the tax system maintenance, that kind of throws that off. We are down
Okay.
overall, but it's not, I mean, it is 50%, but it's.
Okay,
It's taken into
so it's
account.
some of the stuff that we've approved and funded this last year or so.
Which we don't ask for again.
And then that's helped obviously your operational budget, then it's helped your operational budget be still be efficient, but just less.
Absolutely. We spent many years struggling with 10-year-old switches that we couldn't update, and in order to become PCI compliant, keep up with all the security issues that we deal with, that was fantastic to get that kind of funding to get everything back up to par so that we can keep it updated.
Well, it's kind of nice to see that, those kind of decisions that you help convince us with others to make.
Yes.
It's nice to see a report a short time later that shows the fruits of the labor, so to speak. So, thank you. Yep, Commissioner Dennis.
Do you feel like you now have total control of our IT in Sedgwick County now?
It's better than it was. I wouldn't say total, but we're working toward that. There's still some siloed FTEs that are out there that through attrition, excuse me, we try to reach out and pull in. So it's a work in progress, and our budget analysts and finance have been great, helping me identify costs of where we can find money in pockets that are old money that used to be spent in those areas on IT and pulling those into TRB fund centers. So I wouldn't say total, but we're making progress, and I feel like I have more control than I did 4 years ago when I sat down in that chair, if that answers your question.
Good. And Odyssey, you feel comfortable with where we're at?
That's another question. Again, we're third in line on that. State of Kansas is the holder of the data, as we all know. They're going to pipe that data to the district court. District court then turns around and feeds us the data that we needed to disseminate to our departments. So we're the ones responsible for writing all the APIs that will take it from the district court and sort it, parse it out, and push it out to our respectful departments like DA, sheriff, corrections, those folks that need it. So when I get into talking about the 3 to 5% reduction, that's kind of what's going to answer your questions. If I was up to speed with all 6 programmers, yeah, my plan is to devote all that horsepower over to writing those APIs. But when we talk about, and I'm kind of getting cart in front of the horse, but when we talk about reductions, right now I've got 2 empty FTEs there and a project management FTE that's going to be coming. To hit that 3 or 5%, I mean, one of my suggestions is going to be we put a freeze on those FTEs indefinitely until, the economy turns around. So in that case, with only 4 programmers, I'm a little nervous because a lot of the responsibilities currently are keeping the lights on. 70 to 75% of what they do is just managing the applications and the websites and all the services that we currently have.
Okay, well, if you get in a bind on that, we need to know ahead of time so that
Will do.
We don't have any choice. We have to have Odyssey.
Yes.
And the other is RMS, JMS. You're fully up where you
Yep.
need to be on incorporating that?
Yeah, we've had a project manager engaged from day one on that project. Back when the talks with the city, trying to merge everybody, all the way to them making the decision. We've had somebody engaged so that we can ensure that we can secure it and help support it, so, yeah.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Cruz. Yeah.
Thanks. Since we were talking about employees and managing things, how much time did you spend? I'm just kind of curious, like setting everybody up for remote working and, because I know I've called a couple of times myself just to get up to speed, and it took quite a while because they had to reset my whole system. I mean, it took
Yeah.
longer than I wanted it to take, but I wanted it done. So can you speak to that?
Yeah, where to start? I mean, bottom line is it took about 2 weeks. I mean, there was a huge influx, a learning curve, as you would expect.
Mm-hmm.
It's a whole different routine for people. They're going home, they might be using a home PC. I mean, you guys get it. So it's a learning curve. But once we hit that peak, for about 2 weeks, people started getting into the routine. And now it's kind of dropped off to where we're almost back to our normal 300 calls, 250 to 300 calls a week. For those first 2 weeks, we were 1,200 plus calls, which are a lot of calls for technical type issues. I mean, they're not just a 2-minute, sometimes they're 10, 15 minutes to troubleshoot. But our remote services that we have helps tremendously where they can remote in. Back when I was on help desk, tickets were 4 times as long as what they take today because we were out the door, across the street, walking or driving somewhere. Well, now with our remote tool that we have, 80% of those calls we can just remote in and take care of. So it was about a 2-week ramp up to get everybody comfortable. But we have seen a drop off.
Well, I appreciate all of the answered timely calls that were returned. Like, you have a good staff, that are
I have
friendly
a-
and kind.
I agree. I have a fantastic staff. Set the expectations and they just run with it, so. The last thing I wanted to go over briefly is the Technology Review Board. I think Lindsay mentioned in hers that we pushed off all of these to the future, or till the economy turns around at a later date, except for this one, which is the CDDO Electronic Medical Record System, which is the maintenance to get it into the budget of $130,000, which is the reoccurring piece of this. And this is kind of a refresher from last year. It's mandated by contract, Kansas Development Disabilities Reform Act, DDRA, and Kansas Administration regulations to assist all persons with developmental disabilities to have access to community services. And this is the application that helps them fulfill these requirements. This $130,000 is to fund yearly support and maintenance for the Metasced system. Again, this is a cloud-based system, so that this is covering the server, the licensing, the database, the maintenance. We will have some involvement with the security piece of it because it is going through our network out to a cloud. So we are involved with that piece of it. With regards to our infrastructure, again, our project manager has been involved with this from the very beginning and is very comfortable with how this is functioning for him. So the request is $130,000 reoccurring to support that Metasced software. The reason that came about is ComCare software that they used to piggyback on, Site Consult, went end of life very quickly, and they had to do a quick turnaround to get something back online, and this was something that would interface well with the new system called My Avatar. And so that's why they went with this Metasced system to support their functions.
And this is a mandate? This is a,
CDDO, yeah, it's a mandated. I'm not a CDDO expert, but that's secondhand from Dean Eichwanger. This is their requirements. So a 3 to 5%. Let's talk about that real quick at a high level. And of course, this is just high level, very quick look at it. Obviously, I'd want to dig in a little bit deeper if it really comes to cutting some of these things to really understand what that's going to impact. But on the surface, this is going to go across the board. Contractuals, sometimes equipment, all training costs would stop. We just wouldn't train, which is very important to IT. We have to stay up with the latest and greatest technologies, or we don't know how to answer questions. So we could put all that on hold for whatever the time limit is. We could put 3 FTEs on hold, and we could eliminate 1 part-time FTE to help reach that 500,000. A lot of licensing we could reduce, like we went through and did an audit of our current licensing for our developers. They have a subscription to Microsoft so that they have a toolbox to write programs and work in. That we could piggyback and double up the licensing. Each person wouldn't have their own license, so they might have to wait in line for it. But it's something we can do. We can reel that back in, save a little bit of money, and that adds up. The $2,000s, the $3,000 here and there. Once you add it all up, it starts to add up. Some other things. I think Lindsay mentioned Socrata. I have that on my list too. I know it comes out of her area, but my staff spends some time checking that daily, making sure the data's correct, checking the upload when it fails. If it doesn't make it to the third-party website, they fix it and they get it back online. We've run some stats on that. Average of 9 to 18 people look at that a month. So, I mean, I understand transparency and why that's important, but when you're talking about 9 people to 28 people, I think it's 28, max, are looking at that a month. It's something to take into consideration. And maybe we bring that back in and write something in-house when we have the time to do that. Something to consider. Our first basis monitoring system, currently we have a third party that logs in and monitors our systems, pardon me, does all the system checks so that our basis administrator, which we have one, doesn't have to do that. I used to be a basis administrator, it's very time consuming. You might spend 3 hours, 4 hours a day because of any errors, you have to research them. Checking out those systems, because we're talking about it's the financial system and it's the HR system, very important systems. This third party does all that monitoring for us, so that basis administrator is freed up to manage the database and do other things that are more important. We could cut that. So it's things like that. If we need to get back up to that $500,000 mark, which is about 5%, we're looking at maybe targeted reducing the wireless footprint of the county. Currently, we're looking at TRB funding to redo the wireless system because it's end of life. But we could target areas and just have the areas that absolutely need it for business use and not provide wireless throughout the county. I mean, that's kind of where I'm at. We're looking at things that don't have to do with security, because security puts us at risk. Reducing the wireless footprint doesn't put us at risk at all, but it is a convenience. It's a business convenience that people have gotten used to, and that would be a big, change for everybody.
Wes, Commissioner O'Donnell has a question.
Sure.
Yeah, well, going through your budget, it looks like you've already done a lot to cut your budget. I know the bulk of that's obviously the TRB. However, even in your own director's office, you're down 9.7%. It looks like you've already been trying to do that. I assume that is savings you already had baked in, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So you've already taken out anything you consider to be
Well,
fluff?
yeah, I mean, we're trying to do our part. Right. This
Well, 'cause
is an additional
Right, because I remember last year with the review board, it was like $3 million or something.
2.6, yeah.
Right, that you were bringing up towards us. So
Right.
I'm extremely happy with your budget and the fact that you were able to do the hard work for us. So I'm sure we all probably appreciate that. So
The other thing I will make you aware of is some of the TRB funding was for the new backup system, which is currently full. We own it. We pay maintenance fee on it so that we can get hard drives overnight when it fails. It's full. But we have worked with finance, and we can put that on hold, and we have put it on hold. So we're not going to spend that money to help in this interim this year, and we could probably coast into next year as long as possible and not spend that $350,000 to help out. So, I mean, those are the things that we're looking at, and I'm happy to do more if I need to. So, but I don't want to compromise security.
Okay. That's what I was trying to acknowledge. Thank you, Lindsay.
That's all I have. If there's any other questions.
No, thanks, Wes. It's been rewarding for me when I first got here, almost 2 years ago, and to see how far you've come in the last 18 months has been really, it's rewarding to see, so thank you.
Thank you. I have a great staff.
Okay, well, congratulate your staff also. Tell them
Good
our
job.
appreciation.
Thank you.
All right, thank you all.
Commissioners, we have one presentation left for today. It's from Tonya Cole for the County Manager's Office. We'll be on page 19 of your binders.
Not Tanya.
Give her a hard time.
Believe me, I will. That's so great. Thank you.
So this is where the big cuts are?
We heard you cut it big.
Thank you.
It's big. 99 is small.
Okay.
Okay, can I jump in?
Yes, ma'am.
Hello, Tanya.
Okay, good
Welcome.
afternoon, Chairman and Commissioners. Tonya Cole, Assistant County Manager. I'm here this afternoon to give you an update on the County Manager's 2021 budget development. County Manager's Office mission and services is to assure quality public services are provided to our community by providing efficient and responsive support to the Board of County Commissioners and effective administration of the Sedgwick County organization. So divisions included in today's presentation is the County Manager's Office and Strategic Communications. County Manager's Office provides oversight of County Commission policy decisions, comprehensive review and development of policy management of county projects, requested, and preparation of County Commission meetings. The 2021 budget request is a total of $1,188,627, and that covers 8.25 FTEs. Moving to strategic communications, mission and services there is serving as a valuable link between county programs and citizens of the community. Strategic communications provides information about the current activities and issues of county government and works on major projects and community initiatives. The office relays public information to citizens and the media through publications, internet content, video, and media requests for interviews. County departments and employees are kept informed of internal issues and opportunities through this office, and that's done through 6 full-time positions. Total request for 2021 is $707,407, and that is a decrease of $75,000 of one-time funding from the 2020 projects that you'll see in the 2020 budget. So in total, between the County Manager's Office and Strategic Communication for 2021 is a budget request of $1,896,034. For our 3% budget cut, if we were to move to that, we would reduce expenditures of about, in total, we would need to cut about $57,000. So we would reduce expenditures of about $15,000 in office supplies, upgrades to software and replacement for computers. We would do a reduction for trainings and professional conferences, community event sponsorships, lunches and dinners, and then we have meltwater software that we would cut and try to do that in-house. That's a communication tool. So various expenditures that we would try to cut, both in commodities and contractuals for the manager's office and communications. So be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Do we have I know that we had some personnel changes. Is that out? Do we have any time frame as to when that's gonna be filled?
We don't. Currently, that is a project that I'm working on this weekend, is to look at that position description. We are gonna add a little bit more to that position. We're gonna add some government relations to that. And so that is what I'm gonna look at over the weekend, try to push that out next week. We do have, right now we have on contract, Tammy Bradley with Bother and Bradley to help us to fill that position. And then I'm providing some oversight to the communications department to assist in that. And so we're trying to get that out just as fast as we can. And so we're looking probably about a 2-month time frame before we can get that filled.
Awesome. That's gonna be a great opportunity for somebody.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you for all your work on that.
Yeah, thank you for asking.
Thanks for asking. Any other questions for Tanya? Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, we do have some time scheduled for discussion, if there's anything you would like to talk about today.
Go ahead.
So what's coming
Ms.
up as far as preparation for next week? I think it was the CIP, and, we had discussed earlier some things that we were going to be talking about. In addition to, what we were talking about earlier, like the Pug Mill, what else can we expect? I mean, are we gonna talk like admin building and all that kind of stuff?
So the CIP presentation on Tuesday will show an administration building still in the plans, but pushed out to 2024 before we'd even start kind of that phase 1 work that had been proposed. It will not include, at this point, a recommendation for a Pug Mill, but David Spears will be part of that presentation and can talk through how that will look. At this point, hopefully by the end of hearings, you all will give us feedback on what you want to hear more about. Right now, we know we'll come back to you and schedule a separate workshop on decision package asks. But we're hopeful to get a little more data before we come back and talk to you about that, so you kind of have a feel for what's possible and what's not. And then other than that, we just need direction from you on what you want to talk about, what additional workshops we can plan. That's typically how we spend May and the early part of June, is bringing back details, anything that's piqued your interest through this process. In the past, we focused on compensation and technology and those kinds of things. That's obviously not in the cards right now. So we just need to know from you what you want, and then staff will go back and prepare stuff and come to you.
Well, one thing that piqued my interest earlier was Commissioner Howe talking about if we wait to do the pug mill, how much money we're gonna, we have to spend in the long run. And so just overall, what are some of the things, if mental health is our number one focus, if there's money that we could put into that we could save in the long run as far as substance abuse, addiction services, those kinds of things, I think that I'd like to have some of those comparisons as well.
We can certainly have that discussion. The only thing I would tell you right now is what has been proposed for the pug mill that I have seen would use the funds that are specifically dedicated for road and bridges out of the 50% of sales and use tax. And so it may save some money within that program. That doesn't necessarily have a lot of impact on the rest of your operating budget. But
Okay.
certainly your point is well made, and we can look at what other things are out there relative to behavioral health.
Okay, thank you.
I do think we had a little bit of a hallway discussion after the first session. I think the plan is to do CIP Tuesday, and Mr. Weber and Mr. Spears talked like they could use the extra days to prep the pug mill, but bring that back 1 week from Tuesday out of staff. Yeah. Commissioner Howell, is that your understanding too?
That's fine.
And then the only other thing I'd say, just on mental health and just CIP, there is another unique part of this year is we have, we're managing, trying to discern and interpret, analyze all of these federal streams of money regard to COVID. And of course, the CARES money is the middle lane of that traffic. So we're trying to understand how the rules around that and opportunities that we can battle COVID with that. And we know that a piece of COVID battle is mental health and the mental ramifications on people. It's not simply physical. So we will be having a lot of discussion about that over the next 3 to 5 months while we manage CARES and some of these other funding streams. So.
If I could just add my observation from the first couple of days here, looking at the page 1, which is the outline and all the stuff. I've been kind of making some notes, as we all have been, but not any specific order, but I'm concerned. I'm supportive at this point of the shortage that the sheriff's office is going through. The district attorney's office was very impactful, and then the county appraiser's office. Some was technology, some was people, but that's kind of my notes have been. The rest of them seem pretty flat. There's people and a few things here and there, but those kind of stuck out to me. The sheriff, the DA, and the appraiser is. I'm just sharing my thoughts, but. And of course, we've got a few to go. Clerk, elections, public service, that's a big one. That's Kaufman's area. And then we've got the CIP, the next. So we're Monday afternoon, we're clerk, elections, public service. Tuesday afternoon, we're the capital improvement. Yep. Mr. Howell?
I always enjoy these budget hearings, so thank you for all of you that are involved in bringing this data to us, especially Lindsay, but she's busy talking. I just want to say thank you for, this has been, I always enjoy the budget hearings, and this is, you learn a lot, and I get to see things maybe a little bit more detail because it's brought to the attention and type of thing. So I just want to express thank you and appreciation to all that you do to make this happen, and you as well. Thank you so much for what you're doing. As I sat here and thought about some of the presentations today, I do have a couple of I'd like to reserve the right, I guess, to go back and ask a question on something that was presented. It may not be fair because they're not standing here right now, but maybe I just ask you to think it through and see if they can come up with an answer. Maybe hear the answer later on, is fine. But I'm curious, the comparison that the appraiser made on the appraiser's office, can we have that validated by staff? Can we have someone go and take a look at the parcels, their staff? What are the staff? What's the staff paid in those other counties? And what's their workload? What's their turnover? What's their overtime? Things like that. It would be very helpful to see that. I'd like to know what the sales ratio study is in those other counties, because although I know we're trying to target, 95% here in Sedgwick County, and we've been a little bit under 90% on an individual. That's an average. But when you look at individual parcels, the amount that we're off of 95% is extreme in some cases, as much as hundreds of percent. Could be close to. I saw some that were down 90% undervalued, and some that were overvalued by hundreds of percent. So I'm very concerned about, on an individual parcel basis, how can that happen? There's got to be an explanation. But I'm still asking, just for the record, I'm still asking for the entire county data. You guys got me the data that were the outliers, and I appreciate that. I guess it's not so much data that I can't handle it in a spreadsheet. I like to go ahead and just get the entire data set for all parcels in Sedgwick County. But when you look at that data, I'm finding things that are very hard to explain. And so I would like to kind of look at that office, maybe, I hate to use the word audit, but we ought to look at that office and find out are we understaffed? Are we underpaid? Does the turnover reflect that? Does the overtime reflect that? And then maybe even compare our appeals numbers in Sedgwick County versus appeals numbers in those other counties. Because I think that also kind of reflects on whether the people feel like they're getting good service out of the appraiser's office. If we have a higher percentage of appeals, then that would kind of indicate there's maybe some things that need to be fixed there. So I would like to have someone take a look at that very closely. That'd be okay?
Yep, we can do that, Commissioner. I'll also mention, I know Mark has had, even before Mark was the appraiser, I know we've done 2 external audits on that function down there, and I think we can answer most of your questions just based on, that's the reason after he commented that I thought his information's valid, because it has been validated by external audit. There could be, I don't know what turnover is in other jurisdictions. I do know that the auditors did some healthy peer analysis, and we'll get you some of that data.
I mean, I know everybody would love to have a raise and all that stuff. I get that. But looking at the salaries on the budget request, I don't know if those are good numbers, or if those salaries are appropriate for the type of work they're doing. I don't know what education level they have or anything, but some of the salaries are, at first glance, it looked like they're decent. So I just don't know if we're just way off base or whatever. I don't know. Okay. I'd like to have that. And again, I do have that data that was sent to me earlier. I can point out some of the reasons why I'm concerned about that data. I've got some data there, and it just, I wish I have some explanations as to why some of these individual parcels are so far off. In other words, when they sell, let's say they sell at $100,000, but they were appraised at $10,000. That's the kind of stuff I'm very concerned about. Or say it sells $100,000 and it's appraised at $300,000. That would be very concerning on the individual parcel level. And I'm seeing some of that type of data in that data set. So that is concern. And then I'll stop for just a minute so Commissioner O'Donnell can talk. I have one other set of questions. Go ahead.
Right. But on that, I think the issue is, and Jeff Blueball wrote a letter to the editor talking about how we did have this inflated floor in the housing market that they were selling for more than they should have. And in an economic downturn, obviously that floor is going to collapse, and we're going to see that now. And so that was the concern, I think, for a lot of us when, something like 90% of people saw some type of increase in their property because the economy was rocking, that we're not taking enough time to see what would happen if these homes are really selling at an artificially high amount. That's what happened. So I do think that's the question. And Mark wasn't in a permanent position when this was happening last fall and early winter. But now that is something we need to look at, that maybe they're overwhelmed because they're increasing property taxes to such a large number of people instead of just going smaller amounts or by smaller groups. Because I know I had constituents that had $20,000 increases, they appeal and it went up like 2,000. Because people were looking for reasonable increases, not drastic increase on a $200,000 house going up 10% is insanity. So, and I think there was too much of that, but I do give Mark some cover because he wasn't in his position at that time.
Commissioner, Hayden,
Yeah,
one more
I have a
comment?
couple more questions. Again, let me just first of all say I do appreciate the Treasurer's Office. I know they have a very tough job down there. Hindsight's always a little clearer, and it's hard to know what the right decisions are before you get into it. But I know we've had some discussion about whether or not we would purchase the tag office on Kellogg or not. I don't know where that conversation is right now. If that's something that's still kind of out there or not, I don't know. But I do want to reflect on the fact that we do have data going back to 2018 in our budget book on page 85. And I don't care if you look at the numbers just for the tag offices or numbers for the entire department that's represented on that sheet. If you look at all the numbers, we've seen about a $500,000 increase overall, but just on the facilities, it's about a $400,000 increase between 2018 and 2021 budget, and last year was a little higher. So I just want to make that point. I don't like where we are. I know that's under another elected official. I would like to have this understood because I think that it's unfortunate that things aren't the way they are. If there's a better explanation than what I'm seeing on the sheet, that I would love to hear it. But I don't think this has turned out in terms of trying to be a little bit less expensive. I don't think it's turned out that way. And in terms of the queue list, we've always had that problem. We knew from the very beginning there are people out there that don't have cell phones. They can't get into the queue list system. There are some people who have phones that are not smartphones, and they can use texting to get in. That's another option. So they can use the app, they can use texting, or if they don't have a phone at all, they can use the kiosk. And so I'm curious in the COVID-19 situation, if there's a way to mitigate risk at those facilities, to allow people in to use the kiosk to get in line, so to speak, and then maybe wait outside, and they could call them in groups of however many to get them in the facility if that's what they're trying to do, try to eliminate large groups of people inside the facility if that's what they're trying to do. But QLIS has always been a situation where people who have the technology at their fingertips can get in line. I'm getting a lot of comments from people who are really unhappy because they're standing outside in the rain and they actually have to stand in line. There's no other way to do it. They can't even really get in their car. They have to actually stand in line. And so the whole point of QLIS was trying to help people, use their time more wisely and not actually have to stand in an actual line. So I would like to have someone maybe have that decision. What's really going on there? Let's have that reviewed by someone and see if we can encourage maybe some type of queue list that would actually help our people get back a little bit more convenient and mitigate those risks if that would help. It's just a disappointment that right now we're seeing a lot of people who are very upset having to stand in line for hours, and of course, like yesterday, it was in the rain, so it was very, very upsetting to many people. But I want to express this is not obviously a county commission office. We trust that they do the best they can down there, and I appreciate them personally, and I know it's a very tough job to do, and I want them to feel appreciated, but I do have some concerns. So with that, I'll stop talking on that one. Thank you, Chairman.
Commissioner Cruz?
Do we still have the ability to even purchase that building if we wanted to? I thought that was over.
It's over.
Yeah, I thought that ship had sailed.
Okay.
Okay, that's all.
And I'm not sure. I thought maybe it was extended a year. I think they extended the lease, but I'm not sure. But we can look into that.
Definitely made financial sense.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
I'm
Yeah, double check.
processing this. I'm thinking that it has passed, and I don't know that we talked about the extension. I'm not sure that they allowed, that
Oh, maybe
the
so.
attorney allowed the extension.
You might be right. Commissioner Cruz. Okay. Commissioner Dennis, you got anything to add? Okay. Okay, well, do any of you three have anything to add? Up there?
Nope, we're good.
Acting commissioners up there?
Acting commissioners.
Okay. Well, Lindsay, please extend our thanks to all the work that you support all these departments in getting this budget stuff. It's not easy times right now, and we know that small errors can happen. And
Oh, you have to bring it back up.
no, it's okay. It's all right. but I'm glad that the five of us are getting to look at this, and everybody's contributed their knowledge and their questions. I think it was really good so far. So with that, we will see everybody Monday and Monday afternoon. So, okay, thank you, and thanks, commissioners, for decorum and how we've handled the day. Thank you.